All right, we are back, man. It has been a long break. I don't think I've streamed in maybe 3 weeks. Crazy, right? I think it's been that long. Summer is upon us, right? So freaking going off on vacation, went to the Poconos, hung out in the mountains for a bit with the kids, the fam, and then next week after that went out to Georgia for a week for the 4th, and I think I was even out the week before that potentially with some prepping for the trips. So anyways, how y'all doing? What's been going on? What's new? It is summer. I got a friend coming into town. Used to game with him actually back in the day. He's coming into town with his family, gonna stay with us for a few days, so it's gonna be another busy weekend, and I guess beginning of the week next week. Got a bunch of good stuff going on at work. Just good stuff all around, right? Anyways, you guys don't know, I'm Kevin, K Creative here at Bamboo Solutions, and we are a product and services company on Microsoft SharePoint or anywhere in that space. We were streaming a lot more often. As of now, though, not so often. Anyways, today's our SharePoint Weekly Newsletter Roundup. So every Friday we put out a newsletter. Around 8 a.m. it goes out, and we go through it around noon on Fridays together here on Twitch and YouTube live. So if you're interested in doing that kind of thing and just seeing what's up in the latest news over the last 7 days, that's what we do. That's what we're doing. Anyways, thanks for jumping on. Let's get to it. So let's see here. Where am I at? New phone? Who dis? What do you mean new phone? What you doing, John? All right, guys, I'm sharing my desktop here. This is what the newsletter looks like. This is it in the browser. Done this quite a few times, but for all y'all that might be new or watching this on demand on YouTube later, that's what this is. This is a newsletter. So anyways, I'm going to move it down just a hair here. You'll see there's a subscribe and a past issues option there in MailChimp. This is a MailChimp newsletter, so you can always get to the past ones if you'd like and review. Otherwise, without further ado, as I said before, let's get started. What up, John? What's going on? You out of town? Or are you back? Are you home this week? I haven't even noticed any brewery pictures online, so you must be home. Usually when you're traveling, you got some good pics. Gotcha. Next week, Philly, huh? We were talking about making a trip out to Philly because I got a customer we'd like to go do some lunch, chatting with. That'd be kind of cool if I could arrange that to be lined up right. All right, let's get to it, guys. The newsletter's got 3 sections to it. We got the top news stories, the around the blogosphere, and the SharePoint events that are currently going on, so that you can take part if you'd like. Excuse me. Had a little something in the throat. I was sick on Tuesday with a fever, no other symptoms, and this week or today and yesterday I got like the phlegm in the throat going on. Anyways, let's do it. Top news stories. So we've got some posts here right up front about the latest cumulative updates for SharePoint 2019 through 2010. I'm not going to go into those, so if you're in the admin space, there's these are links directly to who is this? Stefan's blog post about them. I think this is, yep. So you can get all the details you'd like if you click on those and go to those. I will, though, go ahead and post a link to register for the newsletter if you haven't already. And that'll allow you to get access to the newsletter, be able to click these links and get to the information you're looking for. Because I don't really want to link to each of these things just so you can participate in chat. Just go ahead and register for it and get it. You can always unregister. It is a MailChimp newsletter, like I said, so it's got all the functionality around subscribing and unsubscribing that you would expect or even supposed to have as far as capabilities right out there in the world for newsletters. Anyways, SharePoint security fixes released with July 2019 PU and offered through Microsoft Update. Another post here about some of the updates that have come out. So check those out if you're on that admin side. The KM World Trend-Setting Products of 2019. This was kind of neat. So I guess every year they put a list out of anyone in the knowledge space that's kind of doing something exciting. Lo and behold, we got to be published on that list this year. Here we are, Bamboo Solutions, a global brand at SPX. So we got our knowledge-based solution on here, kind of talking about what's in it and what it does. But there's a bunch of other options here too, if you're interested in what else is out there in that knowledge management space. So quite a big list. Check that out. Anyways, like to call that out. Let's see though. First one. Let's see. Yep, that was us. Make learning a daily habit for SharePoint and Office 365. So I was reading this post earlier. This talks a little bit about how we're kind of used to rolling out and deploying SharePoint into implementations or organizations and doing sort of that 30-day later, let's set up a big training and get everybody trained up. Well, this guy's talking about, this is Asif, talking about how we realize though now, today in this day and age, that you learn better by doing a daily iteration of learning, right? So rather than do the big upfront, you know, I like to compare it to like the old learning tree style. You show up for a 7-day course and bam, go out into the world and you've learned it all. It just doesn't work usually. You have to do some sort of a daily drip, right? And so this guy's talking about how instead of going that route of scheduling that big training session about, you know, how to use SharePoint and how to use your Office 365 offerings, and then walking away and expecting it to just work, go ahead and do this daily iteration thing. Make it part of your daily tasks, right? So you check your email every day. He's saying also go through some training every day. It will drive more adoption of your system. It'll drive more interest and just more value being pulled out of your deployment. So he's got automate training, content delivery, right? So that way you don't have to make this a manual process every day to get people to do something, but automate some of that content delivery and optimize tutorials for quick consumption and leverage the power of existing habits to ensure that learning is continuity without much effort. So that's kind of the key there. An interesting post, right? But I think it needs to be said because I feel like the deployment side and how we operate is very agile minded nowadays. It's, you know, buzzword of the decade, it seems, in our space anyways, but the learning part of that and driving that adoption is not necessarily caught up. So good post. Working smarter with Microsoft 365. I didn't check this one out yet. AI-driven intelligent capabilities in Microsoft 365 help to reduce complexity while enhancing productivity and creativity. So I guess we're going to be talking here a little bit about how AI is obviously working its way into everything. But here we're talking about some of the intelligent services, which include PowerPoint Designer, ideas in Excel. So this feature provides a shortcut to understanding data, so users can highlight a cell in a data range, click the ideas button, and the feature will analyze data and return high-level visual summaries. That's pretty neat. You got Delve, you got some AI in there. Office Tell Me, I don't know what that is. Enter words and phrases about what you want to do next, and this capability will serve up features that correspond to that task. Interesting. So Microsoft 365 includes a myriad of other intelligent services, from functions that automatically translate selected words or whole documents into a different language to the ability to dictate actions with voice. Just calling out some of those capabilities, it looks like, for AI-driven productivity within the Microsoft 365 space. Inspire 2019, Microsoft Teams crosses 13 million daily active users. This was a cool post. A lot of comparisons here to Slack's growth and scale and adoption, and kind of talk, and they really do call out some of the stats here, right? So 2 years of continued growth. We're talking about Teams here, Microsoft Teams. 500,000 plus, more than 500,000 organizations use Teams. I saw a stat somewhere, yeah, 600,000 for Slack currently in use. So look at that, they're almost caught up already. 91% of the Fortune 100 companies are using Teams. That's an impressive stat, I would say, right? In 181 markets with support for 44 languages and growing, 150 organizations have 10,000 or more active users. That's giant on Teams, which kind of scary, honestly. Some of the complaints right now around Teams is governance and the ability to restrict the creation of teams where you can sort of build these channels out to communicate and things like that amongst your team. The governance seems to be a little bit open at the moment. And for organizations of 10,000 plus, I'm guarantee they've thought about it, obviously, but it'd be interesting to hear some of those use cases, I think, to know what their governance models are to, I guess, contain the wild craziness that tends to happen in those, unrestricted spaces. So anyways, it was a cool post. It's neat to see Teams really grabbing a lot of that market share. They even put out a free tier to compete with Slack's free tier, if you didn't know that. Let's see, you do have to have a personal MSA account, and I think that's just a Microsoft account. Is that correct? Let me see. You get unlimited chat messages, built-in audio and video calling for individuals, groups, and full team meetups, 10 gigs of team file storage, plus 2 gigs a person, real-time content creation with Office Online apps, unlimited app. So where's the requirement? Let's see. After enabling guest access for consumer accounts earlier this year, Microsoft really needed a free tier to compete. Yep. It doesn't really tell me here what you have to have, but I think you have to have a Microsoft account. If I'm not mistaken, that's it. So anyways, interesting stats coming out of Microsoft Teams there. Pretty cool stuff. Microsoft defends the planned partner program changes, but many aren't buying it. This is true. I myself have my own little Microsoft partner, as well as Bamboo Solutions as a Microsoft partner, right? So it was kind of, remember when TechNet was around back in the day? You'd pay like $500 and you'd get access to internal use rights or developer use rights, I guess, or IT pro use rights for most of the software, so that you as an individual could go out and explore those technologies and build things with them and then understand how to use them better. And then you would take that knowledge and go to the customer site, build out solutions, and then buy licensing for those, right? Well, so anyways, that's one of the biggest perks to me individually from the partner program, is that I could buy into a Microsoft partnership for $500 a year and get access to all those same tools. It was like the new TechNet, right? That's how I looked at it anyways. Obviously, for organizations like my company, Bamboo Solutions, it's a little bit different than that. You got competencies and you got all these other things that drive sales and marketing efforts and things like that. So anyways, they decided they're going to take away that benefit. They're not going to allow partners any longer to have the IUR, those internal use rights. And it really did sort of cause an upheaval across the partners, because that was a real big selling point for some of them, myself included. So, anyways, Microsoft, what is the event that's going on? Was it Inspire? Not related to this one. So, anyways, they started talking about what else is coming and the investments they're going to make into the partner program that, kind of calm down that little bit of frustration that's been going on there. For what it's worth here, they're saying latest updates. Someone I know at Microsoft said Microsoft is currently incurring about $200 million in costs annually and growing, resulting from its services being used by partners via the IUR products, those internal use rights. So a lot of it sounds like Office 365, so the cost would come from storage, compute, and back-end services. Microsoft's maintaining that in its own data centers. So, let's see here. There is a lot of updates, I think, that need to happen to the partner program, but they do have the CSP program coming out, the Cloud Solution Provider program. It's been out for a while, but if I'm not mistaken, it's sort of like the next iteration and growth of the partner program. And I don't know much about it yet. I need to dig into that a little bit more to really understand that, but let's see. Through IUR, though IUR has been the lightning rod and partner pushback this week, there are other changes Microsoft is making to the program which aren't sitting well with some partners, like the removal of on-premises support credits as another hotspot. So a lot of flux and change going on there in the Microsoft Partnership Program. We'll see what happens, right? Microsoft to push Teams desktop app to existing Office 365 accounts. How's that work? So, obviously it's a phase out, Skype for Business going away, Microsoft Teams taking its place. We've already fully made the change here within our organization, and so has Microsoft, but a lot of organizations are slow to do so. There's a lot of reasons why they might do that and delay the deployment of Teams as opposed to Skype, but it says the move is an escalation of Microsoft's campaign to get the 180 million users of Office 365 to adopt Teams. Would that be amazing or what? Like 180 million. We just talked about 13 million users on Microsoft Teams. That's a new milestone. They had 10 million in January, got to 13 million now in July. But I'm gonna change that song. Getting to 180 million, right? That's how many users are in Office 365. They're not obviously all going to be on Teams, but you can see the crazy numbers that would come out of that if they forced 365 users to have that desktop app installed. Let's see. They began automatically installing the Teams desktop app with new purchases of Office 365 earlier this year, but now the company is going to push the Teams desktop app on existing customers. So those customers already have access to Teams as part of 365, but many have not used it. Those who have Microsoft update their Pro Plus desktop apps monthly will get Teams on July 9th. So look out for that. If you've got the, I'm assuming that's the setting in Microsoft Update in your Windows that says also update other software other than just Windows. I'm assuming that's what they're talking about there. It does not affect Mac users though, so nor will they affect businesses using Office 2019, the non-subscription version of the Office apps. They're going to bring Kaizala to Teams. If you haven't seen anything about Kaizala yet, it's a new chat program from Microsoft. It's supposed to be, honestly, I don't know the selling point. I've been testing it with friends and internals here at Bamboo, but I can't see that it's amazing. Maybe I just haven't learned how to use it or leverage it yet, but it says it's going to come to Teams by the end of 2020. There are some things in there that are nifty, but I was hoping they would highlight them here. So the addition of Kaizala will aid in Microsoft's push to sell Teams to non-Office workers, so that's interesting. Trying to get that out there on that free version, right? Get people using a chat app. What else? The 9 biggest Microsoft announcements at Inspire 2019. I went through this a while ago. They started it with fresh inspiration because they did get off to a bumpy start, as they say here, with the partners in the new fiscal year due to that thing I just talked about with the IUR, those internal use rights. But there are other things being announced. They definitely are hitting on the fact that the CSP, that Cloud Solution Provider Partner Program, has seen quite a large % growth in the customer base over the last year. What else? It was the 9 biggest Microsoft announcements at Inspire 2019. So Azure Lighthouse was announced. And this seems to me to be a capability for partners to be able to manage multiple customers' accounts and have that capability in a better way than it currently is. I'm just going to click through these quickly here. Azure migration program. So there is a migration program in place there. Partners can accelerate their customers' migration to Azure. Come on. You got the, what's it called? The Azure Data Box, talking about how if your data just isn't going to work to be migrated or transferred into the Azure ecosystem through the network, because maybe it's too large or something like that, then you can get an Azure Data Box, which can offer up to a petabyte of storage, and then you'll ship it out to Microsoft and they'll do all the migration for you to the cloud. Teams updates, yeah, a few things here. They're going to do something around announcements so that you can identify things as needing global attention a little bit more clearly, I think. They're going to have priority notifications. You'll be able to send messages to multiple channels for different teams simultaneously. And the addition of moderators to manage posting in channels. Microsoft security competency. So there's going to be a whole bunch of new competencies coming out. What is it? It says it right here. Hold on. There was an SAP competency and something else that recently came out, and it's kind of driven the idea that there should be more. So now there's going to be this security competency around cloud security, and I think that's pretty key because it's a huge focus in the world today, right? Security has always been a problem or a focus, but now actually giving it a name, a title, and some certifications around that in a big way. So here we've got specializations. That's what I was kind of mixing up here. So they added a new specialization for SAP on Azure. So that was kind of the kickoff back in May. But it looks like they're going in the coming months to be adding how many more? 5 new advanced specializations. And those specializations are going to be around Windows Server and SQL Server migration to Azure, Linux and open source databases, migration to Azure, data warehouse migration to Azure, modernization of web applications in Azure, and Kubernetes on Azure. So a couple of new specializations there for partners. Dynamics 365 updates. A couple of announcements here around the Dynamics 365 Nonprofit Accelerator. Also a financial services integration point around Dynamics 365, as well as an automotive industry integration. Playing the No Copyright Sounds playlist on Spotify today. I'm not really digging their playlist today. Whatever. So there's a new ISV program in technology. Let's see here. Program is aimed at accelerating the path to market for ISVs while also helping ISVs with simplified publishing of solutions to Microsoft's marketplaces. That's AppSource in Azure Marketplace with a promotion of their solutions. It includes a revenue sharing model as well as technical, marketing, and sales enablement benefits, according to Microsoft. The company is also adding co-selling and co-marketing benefits to harness the selling and marketing power of the Microsoft field on behalf of participating ISVs. We got marketplace updates, kind of touched on that just a second ago. They're going to add, let's see, the enhancements are focused on partners that publish transactable offers, solutions and services that are repeatable across customers. The offers can also be made available through Microsoft's reseller channel, creating a net new route to market that helps publishers reach more customers. Meanwhile, Microsoft is launching a new marketplace rewards program. The program will let publishers unlock sales, marketing, and technical benefits as their businesses grow. All right, cool stuff. Inspire 2019, 9 things that were interesting. Microsoft gives IT pros the signal to start testing Chromium-based Edge. So there you go. Chromium-based Edge is out there in the wild. That's actually what we're reviewing this through right now. So if you're not already checking that out, go for it. It's pretty neat to be able to install Chrome extensions, which is a huge marketplace, right, already, into Microsoft Edge now. That's crazy. Microsoft brings passwordless settings to Windows 10 20H1. I did check this out. There's a couple of cool things in here. So passwordless settings are kind of the rave here lately. You can do things like switch your login to use fingerprint, pen only, or Windows Hello face recognition. It's currently only available to a small portion of Windows insiders. Most users will receive the functionality in a week's time. Now, all this is stemming from that new FIDO2 security certification that they got. I think that's, if I line that up right, I think that's the way that worked. But they also made another change that I just checked a second ago. Where's it at? Here it is. For example, the company added a new taskbar tool that allows users to add a quick event. I thought this was really neat. So if you can see my screen, I'm going to click on the calendar in the bottom right of the taskbar. Oh, I'm covering it up. Oh, so you see this input field behind me right here? I'm moving my mouse in it. That's an add an event or reminder field. So now I can just type there and it'll add a new event. That's kind of cool. Nice little productivity hack. I like it. All right, so let's see here. What's else? Around the blogosphere, taking the leap from on-premise portals to modern sites. Good post there. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly now because I've only got like 3 minutes left. I'm going to jump off. So good post there from Kappa Creative about taking those portals and what's the process to get them into SharePoint Online and then modernize them. And so it looked like their strategy was take those sites from on-prem, migrate them up to classic portals or publishing sites in SharePoint Online, and then use the PnP modernization tooling that they've created to modernize those and get those into the modern experience. So it was a good post on that. I think there was a lot of good lessons learned that they included in that post. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, I would absolutely check that out. Installing all SPFX solutions in a folder. This was a good post on how to, I think they were using PowerShell to install your SPFX solutions into a folder so that you can sort of organize that the way you like, right? I think that's, if I understood that correctly. So 3 ways to add terms to the term store in SharePoint. If you're looking to add terms in the term store, there you go. Pretty self-explanatory. 3 ways to do that. I'll just open that real quick and take a look. They go through a manual entry as an option. You go through Excel import as an option, as well as in-user manual entry. Inform authors when a document is deleted from SharePoint with Microsoft Flow. That's kind of interesting, right? So it's, hey, someone deleted your document rather than maybe create a new version of it, or for whatever reason, the document is gone. You might want to know that because it was your document. So good post on that and how to do that with Microsoft Flow. How to move your subsites to the top level in SharePoint Online. So as you start to hubify your SharePoint Online experience, this may be key in taking some of those subsites up to the site collection level and hubifying them, making them a part of a hub as opposed to the old architecture in SharePoint where we used to build subsites underneath site collections. So good post on that. That's from ShareGate, so you know it's good. How to prevent file downloads in SharePoint. Yeah, this was kind of interesting. So they talk about the download dilemma here, and then there's an option to turn on view only for documents, but there are a lot of reasons why that doesn't work very well. It may work for some use cases, but not for all. Some of the side effects, for example, to using the view only mode are that users will not be able to find the docs in search results. And that if users try to open a document via a durable link where someone copied a link with the doc redirect path, it won't work. And if users try to open a document via a real direct link, like, a nice link, they'll get access denied. So that doesn't work in all cases, right? So their solution to the problem is to configure IRM, information rights management, to protect content and prevent downloads. And so a little bit of a discussion around that and how to accomplish that. SharePoint script, format the list form field. I did not check this out, so let me just read the summary real quick. A little script that works on classic SharePoint lists, modern lists. You should really use Power Apps to customize. It allows you to format a field row, label, or the cell the value is in. So just kind of showing you how you can do some customization of your SharePoint form or your view form there. In this, well, no, this is a edit form. There you go. It's got a call to a couple of scripts. It's got a little jQuery going on. Yep. Quick little hack there if you're needing that kind of a thing. 360-degree image viewer in SharePoint and OneDrive. If you're using one of your modern phones and you're taking one of those 360-degree images, used to when you would upload that to a OneDrive or a SharePoint library, you would end up with this. It'd just be a static representation of that. But now there are new changes coming out that will enable the library to store it and allow for that 360 interaction. So that's kind of neat too. SharePoint Online provisioning Microsoft 365 learning pathways error. I didn't get into that too much, but it looks like a very specific issue. So if you're interested in pursuing that, there's the link, how to add a unique identifier to a SharePoint list or library. This is interesting. So I did a video for a friend of mine, I think it's like 7 or 8 years ago now, where we were building custom IDs in workflow. So we would literally add a new item to a list, go create a new custom ID, leveraging the ID column in a SharePoint list, which we all know is unique, but only to the list itself. Could be the same ID in another list, obviously. So anyways, I built that video, and it's gotten like 20,000 views. So apparently that's a thing, right? And it obviously is, because Bamboo has a product called Custom ID Column. And we have a column that you can put into your environment. It is for on-prem only. But it will allow you to take values from within that record, concatenate them, calculate them, do whatever you want to create some string of a unique ID. And then you can use that. In this case, he's looking at how you can massage that ID column that comes in a SharePoint list to make it unique and a little bit more pertinent to what you're working on. So he shows here how to show the ID column so you can actually see that, and then he also goes through the process to show you how you can rename that actually and call it what you want. So for instance, in a risk list here, he showed the ID column, and then he was able to rename it so that it made more sense, the risk number, for instance. And it had unique IDs because that's the SharePoint ID for that item, and those are unique. All right, so that's it. That's around the blogosphere. That's top news stories. Sorry, I got like an itch going on. And the SharePoint events that are up and coming, we got July 23rd online. We have the Building Modern SharePoint Application using SharePoint Framework. Let's check that out real quick. This is a Microsoft session. I think this is, yeah, it's online, so you can register for that and attend for Building Modern SharePoint Applications using the SharePoint Framework. Good stuff there. July 27th, New York City. We got SharePoint Saturday. Then we got a bunch of those coming up. We got one in Omaha, Charlotte, Lima. Then we have SharePoint Fest in Seattle, August 19th through the 23rd. So if you're in that area, probably want to check that out. SP TechCon in Boston on the 25th through the 28th of August. We will be there this year, so I think Rob's going to be there. So if you want to come out, hang out, check that out, you should. We'll be at SP TechCon. We'll have a booth. And then we have SharePoint Saturday coming up in Central Europe. I don't know. That sounds pretty generic. So I guess more details to come for that location. But you can click on these links and get directly to figure out where those locations are. The Central Europe one looks like it's in Switzerland there in Zurich. So yeah, make sure you get into one of those, because if you're in the Microsoft space, man, those SharePoint Saturdays are awesome. They are just a great resource for networking and seeing what the MVPs in your area are doing and working on, and what their opinions are from what they see. Just good stuff. I usually try to attend the Ruston, Virginia one every time I can. So anyways, that's it for the newsletter roundup today, guys. I appreciate y'all jumping on. As always, if you need to reach me, you can hit me up at sales@bamboosolutions.com. I'm always available on there. You can hit me up on Twitter, Twitch, whatever. But thanks for jumping on, and y'all have a great weekend. We'll catch you next week on Wednesday. No, we're not going to do any webinars right now for the month of July. I am going to do a TED Talk. We're calling it a Panda Talk, actually, for the Bamboo Solutions theme, you know. So we're going to give a Panda Talk next week. I think it's going to be on Thursday at the normal noon time for my webinars. So you'll see an email fly about that. If you're not on our email trail, go ahead and sign up. There's a link in chat for registering. But I'll also come back probably on Wednesday, post something about that, stream for a second, get that information out there. But yeah, we're going to have a Panda Talk. It's just going to be industry-specific stuff, something around the technology space and Microsoft space, etc. in our world. But it should be interesting. All right, guys. Thanks. Good weekend. Peace.
You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning. You wonder how I got this way. You think I'm someone to be saved, someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You think I would look pretty on your arm once you cover up my bruises and battle scars, but it always ends the same. Can't bear the things I've had to face, got you crying on your knees in pain. Oh, something